All right, let's dive in. Today we're getting you prepped for an ICT Audit Manager interview.
Sounds intense.
It can be,
Yeah.
but don't worry, we've got RoleCatcher's career and interview guides to help us out.
Those are great resources.
Yeah, they really break things down. And, this job, it's in high demand right now.
For sure. Lots of responsibility.
Exactly. Cybersecurity, data protection, legal compliance, the whole 9 yards.
You're not just checking boxes, you're making decisions that impact the entire organization.
So true. And that's why acing this interview is so important. Now, RoleCatcher kicks things off with a deceptively simple question.
Oh, which one?
It's, what inspired you to become an ICT audit manager? Seems basic, right?
It does, but it's easy to fall into that trap of just listing skills. They want more than that.
Right. They want to see your passion, your story.
Yeah.
What led you to this path?
Think back to a specific moment that sparked your interest. Was it a news story about a data breach? Or maybe a time you helped someone with a tech issue and realized you loved it?
I love that. Finding that spark and connecting it to the bigger picture of what an ICT audit manager actually does. And speaking of making your story impactful, RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you fine-tune your answer.
Oh, interesting. How so?
You can practice your response, and the AI gives you feedback. It's like having a personal coach, helping you tailor your message.
So it analyzes your response and helps you make it stronger.
Exactly. All right, moving on. Another question they highlight is, can you describe your experience with IT auditing?
This is where we get to show off our expertise.
Exactly, but we don't want to overwhelm them with jargon either.
Definitely not. The key is to use concrete examples. Focus on the impact you made.
Like instead of just saying, I'm proficient in penetration testing.
Right. Tell them about a specific time you uncovered a critical vulnerability during a test and what steps you took to fix it.
So it's about showing them, hey, I can handle this. I've been there, done that.
Exactly. And what's really helpful is that RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the job description and suggest specific accomplishments from your experience.
Wow, so it helps you pick the most relevant examples.
Yep, things that align with what the company's looking for. Takes the guesswork out of it.
That's amazing. Okay, next up. How do you stay up to date with emerging trends and developments in IT auditing?
That's a big one. This field moves so fast.
Seriously, it's like drinking from a fire hose. So how do we show them we're on top of things?
Well, first, mention those key certifications. CISA, SESMS.
Right. Those are like the gold standard.
Exactly. But don't just name drop them. Explain what they entail and how they've helped you grow.
Show them you understand the value, how they translate to real-world skills.
Exactly. Beyond certifications, mention industry publications you follow, conferences you attend.
Even online communities or thought leaders you engage with.
Yep, it shows you're actively learning, not just relying on what you already know.
And you know what's cool? You can use RoleCatcher to search for all those resources, articles, courses, you name it.
Oh, nice. So it's a one-stop shop for staying ahead of the curve.
Exactly. Okay, now for a question that gets to the heart of this role. How do you manage and prioritize your workload as an ICT audit manager?
This one's all about organization. This role is known for its demanding workload.
Definitely. Long hours, pressure situation.
Exactly. So be ready to talk about your system. Do you use a to-do list, time blocking, project management tools?
Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
The point is to show them you have a system, you can stay organized, you can handle it.
And don't forget about delegation.
Oh, good point. Show them you can leverage your team, empower others.
Right. Being an ICT audit manager isn't about doing it all yourself. It's about leading effectively.
And what's awesome is RoleCatcher can analyze your answers to these questions and give feedback on how you come across as a leader.
Seriously, like how to sound more collaborative, less like a lone wolf.
Exactly. Okay, let's move on to a question that really tests your problem-solving skills. Can you describe a time when you identified a significant risk in an IT system?
This is where you shine as an analytical thinker.
Right. Pick an example that shows you can spot problems and take action.
Don't just describe the problem, though.
Oh, right. What else?
Walk them through your thought process. How did you find the risk? What steps did you take to assess it? What was the outcome?
Show them the whole story, not just the cliff notes.
Yep. And get this, you can use RoleCatcher to find real-world examples of IT risks relevant to the company you're interviewing with.
Wait, seriously, so I can tailor my answer to their specific industry or concerns?
Exactly. It makes your answer more impactful. Plus, their AI analyzes your response and gives feedback on how to make it even more compelling.
Like having a personal consultant in your pocket. Okay, moving on to leadership. RoleCatcher asks, how do you ensure that your team is meeting its goals and objectives?
And how do you ensure your team is complying with all the relevant policies and regulations?
It's not just about barking orders. It's about creating a culture of excellence, holding people accountable.
Exactly. Talk about your leadership style. Are you collaborative, directive? How do you set expectations?
How do you motivate your team? Provide support.
Share real-life examples of your leadership successes. What challenges have you faced, and what did you learn?
Showing them you've walked the walk, not just talked the talk.
Exactly. And here's a cool tip. RoleCatcher can give you insights into different leadership styles and how they match up with different company cultures.
So I can tailor my answer to show I'd be a good fit for their specific team.
Precisely. It's all about showing them you're not just a manager, but a leader who can inspire and guide a team to success.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered some key questions about passion, experience, staying up to date, workload management, and leadership.
All crucial aspects of being an ICT audit manager. But remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right. There's so much more to unpack, and we'll be diving into even more interview prep in our next deep dive session. So stay tuned for part 2, where we'll tackle communication, project management, and more.
It's going to be good.
Definitely. Until then, keep those interview skills sharp, and remember, RoleCatcher is your secret weapon for nailing that ICT audit manager role.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.
See you then.
Okay, ready to dive back in.
Let's do it. Where were we?
I think we left off talking about leadership.
Right. And being an ICT audit manager, that means being a communication pro, too.
Absolutely. In fact, RoleCatcher has a question about that.
Oh, what does it say?
It asks, how do you ensure your team maintains effective communication with stakeholders?
Stakeholders. So we're talking everyone, right? The tech teams, business leaders, maybe even external auditors.
Yep, all of them. It's about making sure everyone's on the same page.
Right. And as an ICT audit manager, you're the bridge between all these different groups.
Exactly. So think about how you communicate. Do you prefer regular meetings? Detailed email updates?
Or maybe a project management platform to keep everyone in the loop.
Whatever your method, be ready to explain it.
And how do you handle those situations, where things get lost in translation or conflicts pop up?
Conflict resolution. That's a whole other skill set.
It is, but a crucial one for this role. Speaking of crucial skills, let's talk about project management. That's another big one RoleCatcher highlights.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a must-have for an ICT audit manager. It's all about taking a project from start to finish.
Planning, execution, problem solving, the whole shebang.
Exactly. So think back to a project that showcases all those skills.
And remember the STAR method.
Situation, task, action, result. It's a great framework for structuring your answer.
Make sure you hit all the key points. What's amazing is that RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the job description and suggest which project from your experience would be most relevant.
Really? So I don't have to rack my brain trying to figure out which one's best.
Exactly. It's like having a personal advisor helping pick the perfect example.
That's so helpful. All right, now for a question that can be a bit, delicate.
Which one?
Can you describe a time when you had to manage a difficult team member?
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one. We wanted to show we can handle those situations, but...
But without throwing anyone under the bus?
Exactly. How do we strike that balance?
Focus on the behavior, not the person. Don't label them as difficult. Describe what they were doing that was problematic.
So, for example...
Instead of saying, I had a difficult team member, you could say, I had a team member who consistently missed deadlines, which was impacting the project.
Right. That sets the scene without making it personal. And then what?
Then you explain what you did to address it. Did you have a one-on-one conversation? Provide extra training?
Show them you took a proactive and, most importantly, empathetic approach.
Exactly. You're a leader, not a dictator.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, RoleCatcher also talks about the importance of staying up to date in this field.
Oh, yeah, absolutely crucial. Things change so rapidly, it's almost impossible to keep up sometimes.
It really is. So how do we convince them we're not dinosaurs?
Well, mention those certifications again, CISA and CISM.
Right, those are like the baseline.
Exactly. But then go a step further, talk about any niche areas within IT auditing that you're passionate about.
Like maybe cloud security or data analytics?
Exactly. It shows you're not just checking boxes, you're genuinely interested in how this field is evolving.
And you know what's awesome? RoleCatcher has a ton of resources on all those emerging trends.
No way, seriously. So I can actually learn about this stuff on their platform.
Yep. Articles, courses, they even have a network of experts you can connect with.
That's incredible. Okay, so we've talked about staying up to date, managing difficult team members, but what about the actual career path of an ICT audit manager?
Ah, right. RoleCatcher's Career Guide has some insights on that, too.
Yeah, they break down the different stages, starting with the junior auditor.
Right, you're basically learning the ropes, assisting with audits.
Then you move up to ICT auditor, taking on more responsibility, leading audits.
Then senior ICT auditor, where you're overseeing a team, developing strategies.
And finally, the big leagues, ICT Audit Manager.
It's like climbing a ladder, each step building on the one before.
And RoleCatcher actually maps out this whole career path, showing potential advancement opportunities and the skills you'll need along the way.
So it's not just about this one role, it's about seeing the bigger picture.
Exactly. Plus, don't forget, RoleCatcher can give you AI-powered feedback on your interview answers.
Oh, right, we haven't talked about that in a while. That's still a thing, right?
Absolutely. And it's tailored to the specific job role and company you're targeting.
So it's not just generic advice, it's actually personalized.
Precisely. Okay, ready for another tough question?
Hit me with it.
Can you describe a time when you had to deal with a compliance violation within your team?
Oof, that's a heavy one. This is about showing we take ethics seriously, right?
Absolutely. Choose an example that highlights your commitment to doing the right thing.
So don't just say, someone messed up. I need to actually.
Explain the nature of the violation, the steps you took to investigate, and any disciplinary actions you implemented.
Right, so it's not just about pointing fingers, it's about taking action.
Exactly. You're showing them you don't tolerate shortcuts.
And what's helpful is that RoleCatcher's AI can analyze my response and suggest ways to emphasize that commitment to ethical conduct.
Yep, it can help you find the right tone. Okay, let's move on to something a little less intense. Resource management.
Ah, right. Keeping those budgets in check.
Exactly. RoleCatcher asks, how do you approach budget allocation and resource prioritization for your team's audit projects?
This is about showing we can think strategically, make tough decisions.
Right. How do you evaluate projects, assess risks, allocate resources accordingly?
Do you prioritize based on impact, organizational goals, compliance requirements?
Be ready to explain your thought process.
And what's great is I can use RoleCatcher to research industry benchmarks for budget allocation.
Oh, smart. So you can back up your approach with data and show you're informed.
Exactly. Plus, their AI can analyze my response and suggest ways to highlight my financial savvy.
It's like having a CFO in your pocket. Okay, moving on. How do you feel about relationship building?
Love it. It's all about connecting with people, understanding their perspectives.
Exactly. RoleCatcher asks, how do you approach building and maintaining strong relationships with key stakeholders, both internal and external?
So we're talking about everyone again. IT teams, business leaders, external auditors.
Yep, everyone. Share specific examples of how you've successfully collaborated in the past.
Maybe I facilitated a workshop to align audit objectives with business goals.
Or negotiated a compromise on a tricky audit finding?
It's about showing them you're a team player, you can build bridges.
Right. And here's a cool tip. RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the company's culture and suggest relationship-building strategies that align with their values.
So I can tailor my answer to show I'd fit right in.
Precisely. It's about demonstrating you understand their way of doing things.
I love that. Okay, ready for another challenging question?
Bring it on.
Can you describe a time when you faced a significant challenge during an audit project and how you overcame it?
This is where we show off our problem-solving superpowers.
Right. It's not just about identifying the problem, but about finding solutions.
Exactly. So choose an example that highlights your resilience, your creativity.
Maybe a technical roadblock, data discrepancy, resistance to change.
Whatever it was, walk them through your thought process. How did you analyze the problem? What resources did you use?
And most importantly, what was the outcome?
Right. Did you save the day? Did you learn something valuable?
This is about showing them you don't crumble under pressure.
You think strategically and find ways to turn those challenges into opportunities.
And guess what? You can actually practice your answer using RoleCatcher's AI platform.
Wait, seriously? Tell me more.
They have a feature where you can record your response and get personalized feedback on your delivery, your tone, the content itself.
So it's like a virtual mock interview, but with the added bonus of AI insights.
Exactly. It's like having a personal coach, but for your interview skills.
That's amazing. Okay, I think I'm ready for whatever they throw at me now.
Yeah, they don't want a robot. They want someone who can actually think and adapt.
So it's that combination of technical skills and soft skills.
Exactly. And speaking of thinking ahead, there's a question RoleCatcher mentions that's all about that.
Oh, which one? It asks, how do you see the role of an ICT audit manager evolving in the next 5 years?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's not about predicting the future, right?
Definitely not. It's about showing you understand the trends shaping the industry. Cloud computing, cybersecurity threats, data privacy.
So many things changing all the time.
Exactly. So talk about those trends and how you think the ICT Audit Manager role will need to adapt.
It's about showing them you're not just focused on today, you're thinking about the future.
And RoleCatcher can help you research those trends. They have a ton of resources on emerging tech and its impact on IT auditing.
Perfect. It's like having a crystal ball for your career.
Okay, ready for a potentially tricky question?
Hit me.
Can you describe a time when you had to deal with a security breach or a major compliance violation?
Ooh, that's a tough one. We don't want to come across as all doom and gloom.
Right, but we also need to show we can handle those high-pressure situations.
So what's the best approach?
Focus on what you learned and the positive actions you took. Choose an example where you played a key role in containing the breach, mitigating damage.
So it's about turning a negative into a positive, showing we can learn and grow.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher has tons of resources on security best practices and incident response.
Perfect. So I can research how companies have handled similar situations?
Yep. It helps you craft a more informed and, well, less scary answer.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's talk about something everyone loves. Salary.
Ah, yes, the dreaded salary question.
RoleCatcher says, what are your salary expectations? How do we handle that without selling ourselves short?
Do your research. Look at industry benchmarks, consider your experience, and factor in the cost of living.
So basically, know your worth.
Exactly. And be ready to give a range, not a specific number.
And you know what's awesome? RoleCatcher has a salary comparison tool.
Really? That's so helpful.
Yep, you can see average salaries for similar roles in your area. No more guessing games.
Okay, now for the final question, and this one's important.
Lay it on me.
RoleCatcher says, do you have any questions for us?
Oh, right. It's not just a formality, it's our chance to shine.
Exactly. Prepare a few thoughtful questions beforehand. Focus on things like company culture, their approach to IT security.
Or maybe specific challenges and opportunities of the role.
Exactly. And make sure they're questions you can't easily find the answers to on their website.
Right. Show them you've done your homework.
And get this, you can use RoleCatcher to get insights into the company's culture and values before you even ask.
Wait, how?
They analyze company reviews and news articles to give you the inside scoop.
That's amazing. It's like having a secret weapon for understanding the company's vibe.
Exactly. Okay, so there you have it. We've covered a ton of ground today, from tricky interview questions to career advice, all thanks to RoleCatcher's awesome resources.
They really do make prepping for this interview so much easier.
They do. But remember, the most important thing is to be yourself. Let your passion and experience shine through.
Because at the end of the day, they're not just hiring a set of skills, they're hiring a person.
So true. Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive. Best of luck to all you aspiring ICT audit managers out there.
And don't forget to check out the show notes for links to RoleCatcher and all the other helpful resources we mentioned.
We'll catch you in our next deep dive.
See you then.